Today we're going to look into the for loops, which are really great and I'm using it all the time. Let's create some game manager at first. So create empty, call it game manager. Maybe I'll just add object to it so we don't confuse it with the script that we're going to name game manager, like so. Just attach it to that object. So let's open game manager, and here we'll just see how the for loop is structured, and then we will just do some nice example of it. So maybe we can do it in the start method. I'll get rid of the comments, and inside the start method just let's make a body of the for loop. So it goes like that. We just type for, then we open the parentheses, and then we add the curly brackets. As always, most of the methods and conditional statements and so on, they all look like that. If you notice, there is some part defining what are we going to build, then there is a parenthesis, and then we get curly brackets. So this is kind of a standard. So inside the parenthesis, we are going to set 3 parameters. The first one is defining the iteration variable, which we normally use just I, and it will be of type integer. So let's define it. We just add the type and then the name, and we have to assign some value to it straight away. If we want to start from 0, for example, then just type a 0 in here and we use a semicolon. Next, we want to give a condition. So as long as the condition will become true, then the loop will keep going. So our loop will keep iterating. So let's say that in this example, we want to print numbers from 0 to 10. So our loop should continue as far as I is less or equal to 10, because we want to display numbers from 0 to 10. So put semicolon at the end, and as a third parameter or argument, we want to specify how this variable should iterate. How should it increase or decrease? It depends from situation, but we want our numbers to be increasing from 1 to 10. So we want our variable to increase by 1 on each iteration. So it's look like that. So this is quite constant, and it's worth remembering that we have to declare some iterating variable first, put a semicolon, then we are adding a condition. While true, the loop will keep going, keep iterating, and then we add some value that will increase or decrease our iterating variable. So what are we going to do? We want to display this variable. So just use print statement, and inside we'll just print this I number. So let's go to the Unity and open the console tab and see the result. And here we have it. All the numbers from 0 to 10. That was easy, wasn't it? I know this for loop might be a bit scary for the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's very easy and it's a powerful tool that we will use quite often. Let's make another example. I will comment this out so it's not on our way. I will just use comment block. We want to display numbers from 10 to 20, but only even numbers. So let's do it. Maybe I will put in the comment. So display numbers 10 to 20, maybe display even numbers from 10 to 20. So let's do it. Start for. Now we have to create this iterating variable of type int. Call it I. This is quite common to call it I, so just keep doing it. And we have to assign some starting value to it. And we want to display numbers from 10 to 20, so that would be quite smart to assign a value of 10 to it. Now we want to keep going until we reach 20, so I should be smaller or equal to 20, and we should display only even numbers, so that would be good to increase our variable by 2 on every iteration. So a plus equals 2. And now we want to display it. So print and display I variable. Go to Unity and see if we are doing it right. Just press play. And here we have 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 and up to 20. Which is exactly what we wanted to achieve. So I will comment this out as well. I will just use a block comment again so that you can keep it for the future reference. And now let's build some project based on it. And this project I want to instantiate few objects through the for loop, and we will instantiate in some random places. But first let's just instantiate it in one place, and then we will see how to make it so that they are being placed on the scene in different places. Okay, so in order to do it, we will need some game object to be instantiated, and we'll make it a prefab. So let's open our Unity and create new object. Create empty, maybe let's call it a dot. Let's create a dot because that would be easy, and add some sprite renderer to it. Choose the sprite of knob, maybe change the color of it to some red one so it stands out. Let's increase the scale of it, and maybe we'll make them falling down. So let's add rigid bodies so they will fall down. Save it. We don't need any colliders or anything like that. Let's just drag it to the project window so it became a prefab. And let's get back to the script. Now we have to make a reference to this game object with serialized field, so we can just drag and drop it in our Unity window. And this is of type game object, and let's call it dot prefab. We want to, maybe let's trigger our method when we press the left mouse button so that we can practice some more stuff at the same time. So let's create our method first, void, and then let's call it create dots, and inside the method we want to instantiate it. So let's use for loop. Now let's create this iterating variable of name I equals to 0. Now we have to think how many of these objects we want to create, and I think let's create just 5 for now. So I needs to be less than 5 because we have 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4, so it will be 5 elements, and I need to increase by 1. So inside of this loop we want to instantiate an object. We did it before, but now let's do it again so you know how to do it. We create a new game object of type game object and call it a dot, and we will assign instantiate method to it, and now we have to provide the object that we want to instantiate, which is dot prefab, and we are choosing some position. We will make it in random position later on, but for now just let me instantiate it in one place so it's not that complex for the beginning. Just put new vector 3 and let's instantiate it in 0f, 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 so they all will be instantiated in the middle of the screen. And now let's just use quaternion identity, so we don't want to change any rotation at all. We don't have to destroy those objects as this is just an example, and we want to trigger this method whenever the left button is clicked. Just take an input from the user, which will be if input get, and we can choose button down or get mouse button down, and I think I'll use get button down, and here we will just call it fire1, which will be our left mouse button. So once it's clicked, we want to call create dots method, save it, and we can go back to our Unity. And here click on the manager, and we have to attach our dot prefab to it. So just drag and drop it, and we can delete our dot from the scene, press play. And as you can see, nothing's there. So now I'll click on it, and 5 elements were created, and they were all in the same place. So we couldn't really see that there were 5 of them. So now we have to change their position so that each of that prefab is instantiated in different position. So how to do it? We can just use this I variable to make it different, because on each loop this I will increase. So maybe let's do it like so. So instead of the X value assigned to 0, we'll just assign I to it. If we save it now, the first dot should be placed in 0, 0, 0 because I is 0. Then the second loop would be increased, so I would be 1. So the second prefab will be moved to the right by 1 unit. Then the second one will be moved to the right by another 1 unit, and so on. So let us see how it will look like. And if I press left, you can see that they were moved to the right. If you want to move them up as well, you can put an I in the Y position as well. So it will be something like, on 45 degrees. Let's have a look. Just play it, and voila. Now we can make some random numbers so that those dots are created in totally random position. But let's have a look what values, what min and max we should use in order to see them on the screen. If we go to the left, you can see that X is about -8. So that would be the same on the right, about 8. And we can go like 4, maybe 5 up, from 0 to 5 on the Y-axis. We don't want to go below because we won't see them for long. So there is no point of doing it. So I just delete it from the scene and go back to the script. And we want to create a random number. We can do it in here, it's no problem at all. So let's create integer and call it rand, and assign this random range method to it. And we want to use, actually we have to create 2 random numbers to cover X value and Y value. So we will do it in a second. Maybe I'll call it rand X and add some min and max value. So we know that on the X we can go from -8 to 8, but 8 won't be picked, so we have to increase it. So let's put it on 9, and I will just duplicate it and use rand Y to have it on the vertical axis. And here we can go from 0 really to up to 6, like so. And now we have to replace those positions with those numbers. So let's use rand X, and then for the Y we are going to use rand Y, random numbers. Press play and click on the left, and as you can see, whenever we click, we've got dots in a different place, like so, millions of dots. Ta-da! Okay, we are done. I hope that you now have this insight on how for loops can help us, because at the moment there is only 5, but we could do like 50 and they will be created at the same time. All 50 prefabs will be placed at the same time, you see? So just play with it, have fun with it, and try to understand how this for loop is being created. You can do some simple stuff with the numbers. This is a really good exercise. Maybe try to get numbers from 100 to 10 So we have to go down, we have to change some stuff in it, and just, do quite a lot of examples to be sure that you know how to use it.